Yeah, I would do it during comment, yeah. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Can you hear me, John? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. If everybody could take a seat.
Totally agree conceptually, and I'll give you a whole.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to our City Council meeting for Wednesday, January 11th. We appreciate everybody being here. Got a few exciting things going on tonight, so we'll get going. First, we will have an invocation first by Luke Roth, and then immediately after that, we will have a pledge and flag ceremony by Scout Troop 123.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to be here tonight. We're grateful for the opportunity that we have to live in a country where we can meet and discuss ideas and make laws. We appreciate everybody here tonight and their diligent work to make our community a better place. We thank Thee for many blessings. We thank Thee for these things, and we say these things humbly. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Good evening. The Honor Guard Unit of Boy Scouts of America Troop 123 is proud to present the posting of the colors for the honorable audience of the Harriman City Council tonight. We ask that all head coverings please be removed during the ceremony. Without further ado, the posting of the colors. Color Guard, attention. Color Guard, prepare to march. Right face. Color Guard, forward march. Color Guard, halt. Color Guard, prepare to post the colors. Color Guard, post the colors. Color Guard, return to ranks. Color Guard, retreat. Those in uniform, upper hand salute. Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mayor, may I suggest a photo with the Boy Scouts?
Boys, before you go, we would like to take a picture real fast with you being here tonight. Is that okay? Thank you, Wendy. Yes.
It's going to be a big picture night, I'm afraid.
Yes, it is.
But anybody else wants pictures, by all means. Anybody else? All right, guys.
A big thank you to Troop 123 tonight. We don't get those very often still, official flag ceremony, so it's always enjoyable when we get those. We'll go on to item 4.2, City Council comments and recognitions.
I just have a quick one, Mayor, if it's all right, if I can take a moment. We did receive a public comment via the comment process online, and it was concerning the parking. And we do have a policy in our city that during snow events, you're not supposed to park on the road. And this person was really concerned about that, felt like that was not a good policy. And his comment almost seemed like it was a new policy. So just for public consumption, it is not a new policy. That's been our policy for quite some time. And for a reason, so our snowplows can do a more effective job of clearing the roads and making our roads safer for people to travel on. That being said, we do recognize the growth in our city, and some of the growth has not provided adequate parking for off-street parking, and it is really challenging. And so I believe that the council is committed to looking at that and looking at policies to maybe see how we can adjust that and change that. So just want that individual and anybody else who I'm sure there's plenty of people that are frustrated with the parking issues to know that we acknowledge that there is an issue. We'll do our best to address that, but just understand it's primarily so that we can get the roads cleared so it can be safe for people to travel. So anyway, I just wanted to address that.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks, Sherry. Yeah, I thought the same thing when I saw that, because that policy has been in place for a long, long time. And I know that when we discussed it, Lauren and I actually want to thank staff for helping us set up and go out with staff on plow night last Thursday. We went out about 10 o'clock until midnight. We saw the same concerns and issues inside the plow trucks that you're seeing outside the plow trucks. And so our staff is doing an amazing job with what the limitations and equipment and time they have. Not only working a full 8 hours or their adjusted schedule and then getting called out after hours. And most of our staff that's being called out don't live in our city. They're traveling to our city to work at midnight or 2 or 3 in the morning. So they're doing exceptional jobs. I wanted to give a recognition to our staff also. We got a wonderful email today from VEC Communications and about they had a skate night here for their holiday party, and it was a big hit. A great newsletter, a little letter that came out and said thank you. They're much appreciated, and that goes to the amazing staff we have that helped set that up. So,
yeah, if I could just piggyback on that, a big shout out to the effort that was done by the snow crews with the amount and persistence of precipitation that we had over several days. They were challenged like no other. Combine the fact with, and I've posted this in some social media issues to let some people know, but understanding that we've had equipment issues, some of them have been exacerbated by supply chain issues where some of this equipment should have been replaced a year or 2 years ago, and we're still using it, so it's more frequently breaking down. And it just creates a challenging situation for all of us, but considering how quickly our main roads get plowed and most people can travel to and from where they need to go pretty safely. I think you guys did a yeoman job, and I'm really proud of the effort our city did and the staff did. And so, Monty, good job. I got on them about some other stuff in an earlier meeting, so I just wanted to make sure I told them what a great job they're doing too. So thanks for everything, guys.
Anything, Jared? Nope. I'll echo that too. I don't want to belabor it, but like Teddy said, we spent 2 hours with a couple of the snowplow crews, and just appreciation for what they do. Just the gentleman I was with had worked a full shift, went home 9 o'clock, was falling asleep, and was called back in as just he was drifting off. He said he had to come back in from Saratoga Springs, make that drive in. We finished at midnight. They called us off for the night and basically told him as we were leaving, be back here at 3:30. He was going to work his morning shift and then go back to his 8-hour shift the next day. So that's what our guys are doing, what our people are doing. So just truly thank you to everybody. It wasn't every department jumping in we're grateful for the snow, we're grateful for the moisture, but it's been a busy year. So please extend our gratitude to everybody on those. So Okay, we'll move on to public comment forms. Just read a quick thing here. Audience members may bring any item to the city council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law prohibits the council from acting on items that do not appear on the agenda. Public comments for this meeting will also be conducted electronically. Any person interested in addressing the council may submit a comment by emailing recorder@harriman.org or by visiting harriman.org/agendas and minutes, where there's a link to fill out an online public comment form. Your statement will be incorporated into the public record. So I do have a few comment forms here, so I'll call these out, and then we can take any others at that point. So we'll start with Deirdre Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor Palmer, City Council, and City staff for working through us with our issue on our road in the Lake Ridge subdivision. This road should never have been a private road. The city knows this, and the city's currently requiring us to allow people to trespass on private property. None of us were here when this handshake agreement took place, neither you nor I. For this to be a private road as a public access point. It's not just the normal situation where an HOA wants you to adopt their roads to save cost. It's a special circumstance where proper planning wasn't in place, and unfortunately, we're all left to figure out a resolution. In the work meeting, it was discussed for the city to pay our HOA for the use of the road. The amount you've roughly estimated to pay us per year will not even come close to the maintenance costs for the public wear and tear on our road. Our homeowners are paying the same public work property tax as Lookout Ridge and other communities in Harriman whose roads are maintained by the city. Our taxes should cover the maintenance of our road. We spent $20,000 this year to resurface our road, so we would be giving you a road that's in great shape with years and years of life left in it. We're talking a small cost of $6,000 to the city per year to maintain and take responsibility for a road that should have been public in the first place. We would love to see this issue resolved with an agreement to adopt the entire road so we aren't left with a strange contract from either side that needs to be rehashed 10 to 20 years down the road by the next generation of city council and homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre. Okay, next is Jonathan Bischoff.
All right, so I live not that far from here, and I'm actually one of the ones that's having an issue with the parking. This has been an issue for years. Multiple people have tried to bring the issue to your guys' attention, and nothing seems to be getting done. I recently had a conversation with an officer, and what I'm being told is there's really no leeway, no way to work with us. It's just get your cars off the street. We have nowhere to put our cars. I live in a townhouse community, and it is full every night. People need to park on the street, but we're being told, go somewhere else, park somewhere else. We can't. So we're in a situation where we need some cooperation from the city. We need something to be done to address the issue of where do we go? And that's kind of why I came here today, is try and work something out with you guys so that we can all have our goals met. You guys want to clear the streets. We want to be able to go home at night. So I'm just hoping that a solution can be found that works for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. We appreciate the comment. Dwayne Boring.
Good evening. Mr. Palmer, I did send this to you via email as well. While I was in the work meeting tonight, I heard a lot of discussions about unintended consequences and thinking 5 and 10 years down the road. In the discussion that's going to happen later tonight about removing all of these city committees from city code and decodifying them, the language that I sent to you in email and have provided on paper to the rest of council is my idea on a way to protect the existing committees as time moves forward. This is not tilting at windmills to try to stop what's going to happen later tonight. I understand that. I'm just trying to protect the existing committees so that they are not unilaterally just disbanded at the whim of 2 or 3 unelected officials at some point in time during the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. We appreciate all your service on that committee that you've been on too, Dwayne. Okay, Brock Hadley.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and City staff. I also just wanted to comment on the Lake Ridge subdivision. The road, we have been maintaining it. As Deirdre mentioned, it was just refinished this year. The public access part, not just the part that isn't, the entire road was serviced. And so, you know, we appreciate the city staff, the options that you guys are considering. It's definitely not an issue that we created or that you specifically created, but we all have to try to figure out and come up with a good solution. The one thing that was mentioned in the work meeting, reimbursing the HOA for use of the road, that would be the number that was talked about is the cost that it would cost the city to maintain it. Our cost would be substantially more if we were to be compensated for that. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brock. Okay, I hope I say this name right. Kiara, is that right? Kiara Sunil Singh, right?
City Council members and Mayor, my name is Kiara Sunil Singh and this is Madeline Smith. We are juniors at Providence Hall High School and we are here to address the issue of a crosswalk at our school and how to improve its safety. This crosswalk is on Patriot Ridge Drive and connects the junior high and high school. Recently, the crossing guard which was previously placed on this crosswalk was taken away, and although there is a 4-way crossing less than 500 feet away from this crossing, which does have 2 crossing guards placed on it, numerous students still cross on the crossing which connects the 2 schools. This creates multiple safety concerns since there is no crossing guard, and to combat these safety concerns, we have tried to put a crossing guard back on the crosswalk. However, after meeting with Chief Carr, we realized that putting a crossing guard back may not be possible. Although the lack of crossing guard on this crossing isn't the only hazard. This is because the crosswalk causes a bad traffic flow and congestion since it is placed between the 2 entrances of the 2 schools. And as cars have to wait for children to cross, they are forced to stop, which creates stoppage in an already highly congested and small area. Also, this crosswalk is considered a mid-block crossing, which, according to previous studies, has been shown to be one of the more dangerous crosswalk types. And this and the combination with the bad visibility due to the hill which it has been placed on and the inexperienced high school drivers who drive near this road while there is a lot of congestion puts children and students in danger, especially since people are less alert in the morning. For these reasons, we ask that you find a solution that would make the crosswalk safer for the students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate your well thought out comments.
Good job, guys.
That was great. And thank you for coming out and being involved. So that's how it starts right there. So thank you. Okay, at this time I'll open I don't have any other comment forms, but if there's anybody else that would like to make a public comment at this point, you're welcome to come forward. Okay, seeing none at this point, we will move on to item 6, City Council reports. We'll start with Jared.
None.
Okay, Teddy?
We had a sewer board meeting during the week after Christmas where we discussed quite a few things. The main key topic was expansion of our sewer district out west with development. And we talked about a couple items on there. As you know, there's some growth in that western side out by Bacchus and U111. So that was our main topic on that.
Thank you. Councilmember Oren?
Oh, yep. I was at Jordan Valley Water Conservancy Board's meeting tonight. You would have to live under a rock if you don't understand that we're getting a lot of water this year. So that's a really, really good thing. Right now, well, as of early this morning, a trial lake is really where we use as our measuring point, just to make sure that, because that feeds a lot of different river basins. And the snow water equivalent up there right now is 15 inches. That's a lot. Just it exceeds what our peak usually is. So we've been getting not just a lot of snow, but a lot of wet snow. So we're pushing pretty close to 200% of the average, which is awesome. So we would usually get about 100,000 acre feet of water is kind of what we would get per year. This year, based on some of the calculations, we might get about 200,000 acre feet, but we're down about 100,000 acre feet in reservoirs. So we might have an opportunity to kind of fill our reservoirs this year, which would be great. But that's just our local reservoirs here. That will not feel like Powell. That will not feel like Meade. We are not out of a water issue. My fear always is that we talk a lot about drought messaging, and we have to make sure we stick with conservation messaging. So it's the same message as always, that will always be in our region, because Teddy just talked about a lot of growth. We're going to continue to have a lot of growth, and with growth, there's more and more water needs. The growth that's happening on the west side of this valley comes with zero water conversion. So it's not like we're turning under farm ground that's been using water, and we're going to get that water and convert it into culinary water. This is dry land farming that doesn't have any water conversion. So as good stewards of a natural resource, we need to continue to conserve and continue to use good water practices so that we can utilize this great bonus that we've gotten this year. So I know if you're like me, you're getting kind of tired of shoveling, because it's not just fluffy, nice snow, it's heavy, but that's because it has a huge water content in it. We had an opportunity, I'm trying to think of it's called windy.com. I'm not advertising for them, but there's an app called windy.com that we watched tonight, and it's super interesting because not so interesting if you're living in California right now, because you can see what's happening there, but there's this vapor river. There's this atmospheric river that's going on right now, and if you go on this app, it just shows you from Hawaii over this river of vapor that's coming up. And as long as it comes on this side of the Sierra Nevadas, we're going to get dumped on. And that's what's been happening, is it's coming around the Sierras and it's hitting Utah, so we're getting a really big benefit of this pattern that we're in. So last year we had a really good pattern in December, and then we went for 2 months without anything. So keep hoping, keep praying that this pattern will continue, because it's okay if we have to make rivers on State Street, because we can fill up the Great Salt Lake with it. So it's really good news this year for water. This year, statewide, we're number 5 in water years. So the only time there's only been 4 other years that there's been more snowpack and water pack than there has this year, so we're number 5. So, and we're higher than 1983 this year. So that should tell anybody. Well, most of you probably didn't live in 1983, but I was alive then. And so we had a lot of water. So great news on the water side. Continue to be conservative, but just know that we're this will put a dent in the problems that we're seeing. So good news.
Great. Thank you, Sherry. Steve?
Yeah, I would just piggyback on that conservation comment and how growth is going to impact that. We know with just the Olympia project, that's going to bring another 6,600 homes over however many years. What I don't know that's widely known in our city and in other cities is the Rio Tinto Corporation applied to annex 2,200 acres into South Jordan City. That's going to add another 11,000 homes on top of that. So that's a lot of housing that's going to be using a lot of water. So please continue to conserve. In regards to mosquito abatement, Just wanted to give feedback that last year was really low numbers for West Nile. There were only 2 human cases reported in the whole state last year, so that's really good. What we don't know is what all this water is going to impact mosquito populations, not only our local mosquito population, but we have immigrating mosquito populations from other places as the water increases. So not to scare anybody or anything, but just keep on the lookout for messaging about what might be coming down with mosquitoes in the spring and summer.
Thank you, Steve. I don't have anything to report, so we will move on to item 8.1, introduction of the Harriman City Royalty.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am thrilled to be here today to introduce you to your 2023 Harriman City Royalty. They are, do you guys want to come up? So your new Miss Harriman is Caitlin Schreiner. The first attendant, who is unable to be with us tonight, is Kaylee Hodges, and the second attendant is Ryan Haslam. And this is Ryan's second year participating, correct? So they do a great job for us in representing the city. Caitlin will represent the city at Miss Utah, and I know she's really excited about that. And they also help us out so much with our events and our community programs. So I'm going to turn the time over to Caitlin. She's going to tell you a little bit about her platform. And we just want to take a minute to thank the Arts Council and our pageant directors, Laura Twitchell and Sarah Pettit. They did a great job at the pageant this year. So turn the time over to Caitlin.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me here today. I am so excited to be your Miss Harriman for this coming year. The Miss America organization is one that has always been very close to my heart. At its core, it is focused on community service and focused on bettering the world that we live in. And as such, it provides every single title holder, both local, state, and national levels, opportunities to focus on a specific cause, one that matters to them, one that's close to their heart. And so I chose youth and education. Those are things that are very important to me, specifically our youth here in Harriman City. My platform, or my social impact initiative, is empowering the rising generation by giving them opportunities to expand their knowledge by being learner-focused in classroom settings and in outside of the traditional classroom setting. I believe that our future generation, our rising generation, is not only the future of our city, but the future of our world. And if we believe that knowledge is power, we should arm them in a way that they can be effective. There are lots of ways that I have been able to impact and use this platform already, both by partnering with our local high schools and with our local junior highs, and I plan to further do so by getting in the social science classrooms, both at Harriman High and Mountain Ridge, and working with them on being learner-focused and making sure that our students feel seen, heard, and empowered as they go through the school system. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. We look forward to working with you. Sorry, Wendy, I'll let you finish and then we'll.
I was just going to say it's picture time again.
Oh, well, let me make a comment. Caitlin, thank you, and Ryan, thank you you're everywhere. I mean, everywhere we go, you're there, both of you already. Let us know as a council how we can support your platform and both of you in your service this year. So we're a team at this now. So whatever we can do to help you. So we appreciate you both.
Pictures.
And Laura, before you go, thank you for all you do, truly. You're missed around here, but we're glad you're still a part of this, so thank you. She can't stay away. Stay involved.
You can take the city out of the grill, but not the other city.
Okay, I am excited about this one, 8.2. This has been a long time coming. Detective Malm didn't know about this until recently, I believe, but we're excited about this. So we're going to recognize Detective Chuck Malm tonight, and we have Alex Johnson here with the Office of Congressman Burgess Owens tonight to present this award.
Good evening, and thank you so much, City Council members, City staff, and Mayor Palmer for having the honor to be with you here tonight. My name is Alexander Johnson. I'm the Community Outreach Director for Congressman Owens, and I am here on behalf of Congressman Owens, who represents Utah's 4th Congressional District. Congressman Owens would like to recognize Detective Chuck Malm with a special congressional recognition certificate and a letter for his commitment to serve our community. Although Congressman Owens could not be in attendance, he is proud of the service, discipline, and spirit of service that Detective Malm has shown us all. I'll now read the letter of congressional recognition. Dear Detective Malm, I had the pleasure of celebrating National Thank a Police Officer Day by thanking multiple Utah officers, including yourself. I recognized you after being recommended by the community which you serve. You represent the true protect and serve mentality which our law enforcement community constitutes. You retired from law enforcement after serving 20 years with the Unified Police Department and then returned to the Harriman Police Department where you've been a longtime resident. Your years of experience are undoubtedly an amazing asset to the residents of Harriman as you continue to work on a community-involved policing. For these reasons, I felt it was only appropriate to specifically thank you. Our law enforcement partners do so much for us, and too often their acts of service goes unnoticed. We owe our full thanks, support, and encouragement to the men and women who wake up every day ready to run towards danger to keep us safe. Thank you, Detective Malm, and the rest of Harriman Police Department for serving our community. All the best, Congressman Owens. And with the permission of the City Council members and Mayor Palmer, I'd like to ask Detective Malm to come up and present him with a congressional certificate and letter from Congressman Owens, as well as a 4th Congressional District Challenge coin. Again, Detective Malm, Congressman Owens, and all of us who live within our families in this community, thank you for your tireless work to keep us all safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll get a
Picture.
You guys are in the middle.
I just want to add one quick comment. I won't take that very long on this, but I want to comment on Detective Malm. Seriously?
I didn't say anything.
I've been on one ride along with our police department so far. I need to do more, but I've been on one, and it was with Detective Malm. And I was very impressed. I came away with a true appreciation for what our officers go through. He was more worried about the rest of the guys in the department. He was very focused on the rest of the officers. He was very focused on their well-being, talked about them, their needs, but took the time to really educate me on the challenges our police face. And truly thank you, Detective Malm, for what you do, for that time you spent with me that evening. Would like to do it again sometime for sure. And again, thank you to all of our officers. I'll say this briefly. I was approached. I was at an event last week and was approached by somebody I've never met before. And when I told him I was from Harriman, he immediately said, "Your police department is the best police department in the state of Utah." And because of that, they're being recognized. They're being nominated right now for an award that only 15 departments across the entire country will be even nominated for. So that's the first thing he said about the city. So that the fact that our police department was the first thing he brought up was testament to me of the quality that we have here. So thank you, Detective Malm, your family, and to all of our officers. So thank you. Okay. I almost don't want to move on from that already, but we will. Move on to item 8.3, 2022 Water Conservation Report by Justin Edwards.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It seems like every time I come up to present, I'm always following something like that. So.
I'm not coming down for a picture for this.
Don't worry, I don't want a picture either. No, it's great. I've worked side by side with Detective Malm, and he is a great person. So, along with all of our other officers. And then also, I feel like Sherry should be giving this presentation. And so we'll just give a quick report on kind of our conservation efforts, and then some of the data from our this last year. I did have this presentation for December, so it's a little outdated, but we'll go with it. So I'll just go through quick slides. I like pictures rather than words, so just some overview on some of the temperature and precipitation we've been seeing over the last several years. As you can see, we've gradually been getting warmer, and our precipitation has been going a little bit less and less, other than, last year we did receive, some additional rain, but it did get hot and dry in the fall, which I think we all experienced. So as you can see, in 2022, we broke records with 32 days over 100 degrees. We don't have the average yearly temperature for this year, or last year, but it was hot. So this is total water use throughout the city in the irrigation season, okay, which is going to be March through October is what we kind of consider the irrigation season. So this graph is just showing, the top row there is, the years, and then obviously the water that's been used. We're using right around 3 billion gallons of water in the irrigation season here in Harriman. But the statistic that's interesting is the percent of change and decrease. So last year there was a lot of messaging from the governor's office all the way down to municipalities and water purveyors. And our residents and the city responded. As you can see, we had about a 14% decrease last year. So 2022 doesn't look that favorable, but it's a 1% decrease from the year before, which we had, immense savings. And then annual, you can see there some totals there. Obviously, 2022, we didn't have the full year, but we are seeing still an overall decrease, which is favorable. And like I said, this is residential water use for the irrigation season, which is March to October. I have the connections, and so we can kind of see as we grow how many more additional connections we're seeing. We're having a 4% increase and a 5% increase in the last couple of years, but we're still seeing reduction in water use. So as you can see, we had an overall reduction in the city, but residential use was down 21% in 2021, which is commendable to our residents for taking action. And then this is the city's water use. So at all of our facilities and parks, as you can see, we do use a lot of water. We have increased connections as well over the last couple of years. but we have had substantial decreases in our parks. I'd like to commend our Parks Department for making huge strides. We'll talk about some of the stuff they've been doing over the last couple years, but as you can see, 27% last year was a substantial decrease, and then another 12% on top of that. So I'd like to commend them. They've done great work. This is citywide water use, so all connections. And so you can see we have an increase in connections as well, and overall, again, this is water use for March to October.
Hey, Justin, I don't mean
Yes.
to interrupt you, but so this is our connections times the gallons used connections.
So this is our
correct?
connections divided by the total water use.
So
So
like
the connection, so average gallons per connection
is the third line.
is the third
Okay.
row there,
So-
yes.
So line 1 times line 3 gives me total gallons.
Yes, it would be. So as you can see, we have an overall reduction there as well, which is favorable. Overall, I think we've seen an overall reduction. Our residents and the city is making huge strides. So we have a 20% total reduction if you look at 2020 to 2022. So here's some actions for reducing the water use. Our residents and customers, they've been participating in programs, not just ours, but the state programs, Jordan Valley's programs. When we speak with some of our residents, some of the things they're doing is they're monitoring their irrigation systems more regularly, going out and turning them on during the daytime when they can walk through their yards, see what sprinklers might be broken, or they're checking their timers to make sure it's not coming on during the day and making those modifications. And then we, for the longest time, during the summertime, we will send out high usage notifications, or we'll call people when we notice that their water usage is over what is average for their connection. And in years past, we haven't seen a whole lot of response, but over the last couple of years, they've been responsive, asked for some of our operators to go out and help them go through and look for leaks and see what they can do to identify ways that they can reduce their water use. Then our city Parks Department, they've instituted some best management practices. Over the last couple of years, they're doing weekly inspections on all their irrigation systems, similarly to what the residents have been doing. They've modified their irrigation schedules to where they're doing more soak treatments, so they'll water it more often, so they'll cycle and soak, so allow the water to seep in before they'll turn on another cycle so that the water's not just sheeting off. They've improved their maintenance programs, replacing aging controllers, and then actively monitoring monthly water use. They'll come pull water reports from the water department to see areas where they may be using more on parks to see if they do have leaks. So they've been very active in trying to make some adjustments to lower their water use. And you can see it's been effective. Some of the public outreach, our communications department is wonderful. They've been working very hard. As you can see some of the statistics there. 40 social media posts over the last year, messages in our posted on the website, and then newsletter articles through the irrigation season. And then our conservation staff, which we were able to hire a couple years ago when we instituted the water efficiency standards. We were able to hire a conservation staff member that's been, phenomenal in, doing inspections and plan review on new residential builds, but then also reaching out to our public, providing information to our to our communication staff. So we've, landscape consultations will go out with Jordan Valley to meet with residents when they have those landscape consultations to see where they can make improvements. And then we've met with numerous HOAs, because obviously HOAs are a large water user. And many of them were appreciative of us reaching out, showing them what their usage has been. Because not only residents, but HOAs, they turn on the irrigation system and they don't really pay attention. But when they really see how much water they're using, they'll take action. We participated with Jordan School District in their Ag Days this year. The one thing we presented on there was converting ag lines into residential and how much more water use that takes from a dry irrigation or dry farming, like you mentioned earlier, Councilmember Orn, and then what residential and commercial developments and how they impact the water use. And it was great. We had, you know, seventh graders is who we were presenting to, and they were very involved. And then we were able to present at several conservation workshops and conferences this year with, you know, with Jordan Valley Water Users Association on presenting on how we implemented our water efficiency standards and our programs that we're implementing right now. And then just a conclusion to wrap up here, like I said, our residents and city staff have been doing a wonderful job, but as you mentioned, it's not drought, it's water conservation is the message overall. And so to be able to allow this, our city to grow and the valley to grow, we have to all conserve to make sure we have water for the future. So that's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Justin.
So this is my soapbox, so I get to talk about it twice today. This is so great. No, thank you. I just commend you and your team for really being leaders in this. You guys were pretty much the first to adopt these conservation standards with the district. You worked really hard to come together with them to try and figure out what would really work. So thank you for all that. Thank you for all this. I think that part of the problem that we have sometimes is we pump out a message, pump out a message, pump out a message, but people don't really receive the feedback. Well, how well are we doing? So I so appreciate this type of report that shows that people are working hard, people are trying hard in our community to make these changes. I think it's really good as an entity, as a city, to lead out on that. Also, to be able to show that as a city, we've reduced, what was it, 32%, 32 or 37? That's a huge number because municipalities oftentimes are one of the largest users of water. And so it's super awesome. I so appreciate everything that you guys have done on this. And I really would like to take this to the district and put this on one of our board meetings just to continue to show these stories that people are responding and trying hard to make these changes. I did fail to mention that there's a lot of money being put towards conservation in this state right now. And because Jordan Valley was kind of the leader in conservation also, and we already had a platform to run these programs through, so the state and the county are utilizing that platform to provide these incentives to people. And it looks like there's going to be about $3 a square foot to put in new projects. So all of our new homeowners, if you're looking and putting in your backyard, if you'll go through the program, through the Jordan River program, there's probably going to be $3 a square foot, which is a big deal. If you have 1,000 square feet, it could be $3,000 towards putting in water-wise landscaping. So I just really encourage people in harmony with this, continue to do this and continue to look into the programs, and there's money that can help put in good landscaping. Thanks, Justin. You do an awesome job.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Justin, and thank you for putting this together to show these. We appreciate it. Yeah, gold star.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll be handing them out here in a minute. Yeah, with the glitter. No picture, Justin? No picture?
You didn't bring the stickers, did you? I wasn't coming back up for a picture.
Okay. Okay, move on to item 9, the consent agenda. Look for either a motion or move anything off of there if need be.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
Second.
Motion by Teddy, second by Jared. Jared?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I'm going to vote yes. Motion carries. Okay, move on to item 10.1, discussion and consideration of an ordinance removing city council appointed boards and committees from Title II of Harriman City Code.
Mayor, Council, we've discussed this in a few work meetings, and now we're just bringing it to you for an official vote. This would amend the Harriman City Code to remove council-appointed boards and commissions other than Planning Commission and Youth Council from Harriman City Code. The new Friends of Harriman Parks, Trails, Arts, and Culture is taking on a lot of the responsibilities that these committees, there's duplicative efforts if they were to remain with the city. The city is still very involved with the nonprofit group and will work to support them in their ventures. Have any questions?
Wendy, to Dwayne's point, I think Dwayne made a good point, and I would like to, because I think there is a concern from all the committees.
Sure.
That they are continued to be a part of it. Could we, is there a way to
Yes.
to do
So-
what he's asking, codify that these existing committees that existed will exist under the new nonprofit.
That's a really good question.
Maybe give a quick summary of what this does.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, can I? I thought you said you were. Darn it.
Wait.
So we have, for the nonprofit, not we, I'm just the liaison. The nonprofit has formed 4 pillars: parks, trails, arts, and culture. Trails, for example, which Dwayne's been very involved in the OHV Trails Committee, has a subcommittee underneath it with primitive trails, urban trails, and OHV trails. And so underneath them, if Mr. Boring would like to continue his participation, he just needs to apply and be part of that committee. That's one example. So we also have arts, which Emily's here today. She's the director of the arts on the executive board. Underneath them is visual arts, their production, musical. So they have different subcommittees underneath each director on the board of directors.
So there would be nothing, so if we make this change and just to avoid all the duplicate effort and everything that you just described, and try it, right? Yeah. And if at some point the OHV committee or the arts committee or something came back and said, you know, this is not working out at this, can we reestablish a committee? There's nothing that prohibits us from doing that. This just allows an avenue to put it under the other umbrella, right?
Yes, and the other umbrella has more opportunities for funding than we as a city do. They have a lot of grants that they're available to get that we are not able to get. Donors tend to want to contribute more to a nonprofit than they would to a city for programs and events. So there are some real advantages to moving this way. Of course, there's always challenges, and I've said from the beginning, this is going to be a very challenging first year as we work through who's doing what. But I've been very impressed with the board and working with them. The mayor has been available for some of those meetings, and we've got some great community people out there that just want to help and pitch in and do their thing. So very impressed with the caliber of the board that they have been able to assemble.
If somebody donates, can they specify what they want? They can say, I want it in this subcommittee, right?
Yep.
And that would be locked in at that. They would have to use it for that.
Correct.
Okay.
And just to kind of to give you an idea, and I don't have the most updated number, they've already raised almost $60,000 in the short time they've been together. So, I mean, they've got some real firepower underneath them and are willing to really put the work in.
And I don't mean to belabor this, but the $60,000, did it come in kind of air tagged for a specific thing?
No, it goes to the Dowdle puzzle. So they'll be
Okay.
selling that for more fundraising. And they should have that tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we get the,
Yeah, so we get the first glance of what it's going to look like tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
And their nonprofit status is like right there. It's so close. Chris and I sent some more information over to the federal government on Friday, and so it should be wrapped up in the next week or two.
Yeah, I can tell you, I was concerned the same as because they're not accountable to us anymore. So I felt awkward that the elected representatives who they should be able to come to and say, we don't like this, can you fix this kind of stuff, will be removed from the process, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. But I think that there's still enough oversight, plus we're still available to exactly what you say. If they say, hey, we're not being included in this, is there a way for us to be a committee? There's still an option. I'm not suggesting that's the best way to do it, but there's still availability.
Yes, and they still will be accountable to you all for future funding needs to use our stuff. I mean, there are some ties there and some levers that we have.
Wendy, that was the thing I really wanted to make everyone aware of is this idea that somehow we're abdicating oversight or accountability is not true. We will have the power of the purse string, and we control the facilities and the land and everything else. So any delusions are that this will somehow be operating outside of the purveyance or will of the city council just is not true.
Exactly. Any other
and I'll just put in a plug real fast. This is an opportunity. I've had so many people reach out this year that want to be involved in the community. If you've been wanting to do that and looking for a way, this is the way to do it. And I think Emily, you can correct me, I think you go to www.friendsofharriman.org, and you can fill out there whether you're interested in, donating time, money, or just being in the know, just being aware of what's going on. I would recommend everybody go there to hear what's going on, because there's some amazing stuff happening.
Yep. It's going to be a rough year, but we're going to get through it together, so.
So I guess real fast, go back to this. How can we, because I agree with Dwayne. Dwayne's got some, and the Veterans Committee had the same concern. How can we be sure as a council that as we hand this off, that these committees are going to be in part of that?
So we've already started meeting with those directors.
Okay.
We met with Arts this week, I don't know. All the days run together. We have another meeting set up with Culture, which includes the Veterans Committee and the Inclusion Committee, and the Historic Committee and Healthy Harriman. And so we're meeting with all of them to bring them up to speed. And then they just need to go through the application process and meet with those directors
Okay. And is there already a subcommittee for OHV listed currently?
in the under trails.
Okay.
Is this going to impact any city events or organization events that they've done in the past, such as Petapalooza or Veterans at Memorial Day or all those?
We anticipate that we'll have greater volunteer turnout, which we hope will reduce staff time. Like I said, this first year we're going to be hand-holding as we walk through this process, because they need to understand the logistics that we put into our events so that they can help us better run them in the future.
I don't know who's all on the board, but I'm assuming they might have an events director or a person that does that.
Each subcommittee does. They'll have a little events person that will help. And they may want to do their own things, like the Trails Committee may want to do a trails run to raise money for maintaining trails. So
we may see added events or additional events.
Yeah.
Maybe a summer concert series or something like that.
Yes, please.
Maybe.
So one of the comments was, it shall include all committees in existence. So it does include all committees that are currently in existence. There's a subcommittee for each of
I
them.
don't know. I didn't read Todd's resolution.
This wasn't Todd. This is something Dwayne gave us. This is something that Dwayne gave us.
Oh, okay.
It was just
I'm
good
just
language.
asking if you know that everything that's currently in existence, there is a subcommittee already created
Yes.
for them.
That is the plan.
Okay.
If I may, I think there's a little bit of a concern from several that we've heard from, including Dwayne and others, that and I'm not putting words in Dwayne's mouth, but others I've heard from is there's a fear that this city is letting go of this and putting the control of all of these things into the hands of some committee that can do as they please. That's not what this does.
Right.
This body still has oversight over those things. We can still adjust any wording that we find over the course of this next year, 2, 5, 10, however much that we need to change things. It's not giving power over to a handful of people that are going to do as they will with these different committees. We still have oversight over the program itself. This simply allows them to raise money as a nonprofit and do more on their own, which from at least our perspective will enable, especially other places, it will enable more volunteerism rather than it being a city function.
Yeah, this organization is Friends of Harriman, not Harriman.
Right.
We're still here.
And we've seen it work at other communities. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. We've been talking about this for a while. We've done a lot of research. I attended a whole week-long school about forming a park nonprofit. So we've really done a lot of research into what we're doing. Again, this first year is going to be interesting, but I'm positive that it will make for positive change in the future.
I think it will too. I agree. It's just the growing pains a little bit.
Right. Okay, with that being said, I'll look for a motion then.
I'll make motion to approve ordinance number 2023-01, removing city council appointed boards and committees from Title II of Harriman City Code, including the Historical Society, Community Arts Council, Healthy Harriman Committee, Harriman Trails Committee, Veterans and Military Advisory Committee, Harriman Off-Highway Vehicle Committee, and the Diversity Inclusion Advisory Board.
Motion by Jared,
A second.
second by Sherry. Steve?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Thank you, everybody, and for everybody involved in that board already. I'm just blown away by, it's already been we're not even off the ground, and it's still taking off, so I love it. Item 10.2, Harriman Main Street widening construction contract approval discussion. Bryce?
Yes, so we've had a few updates on this project, and this, I come with good news on how the bidding came in. So we'll just jump right into it. Quick background, you've heard this before. The state legislature granted about $800,000 per year to Harriman for roadway projects. To make that most effective, we bonded for that all up front. We discussed altering the scope to keep it within budget, and we have recently received bids for this project. And so we can kind of discuss how those bids came in and what does it mean for the scope of the project, how much can we do. And so, yeah, we'll jump right in. So we pre-qualified our contractors. So we kind of went through a process to rank the contractors and say, hey, here's our top 4 that we want for the project. And 3 of those top 4 put in a bid for the project. And these are the prices that they came in. If you recall in our last discussion, the way we set up the bid was to allow us to award a part of the project. It could be up to about 2/3, a little bit closer to 3/4 of the project, or the whole project, depending on how the bids came in with our budget. So there is good news, but with the caveat of really good news. and that sounds a little funny, but if you look at the bid prices, the low bidder for this project, Landmark Excavating, came in significantly lower than the other contractors. So, and then we have the engineer's estimate that kind of came in about in the middle of it all, which is pretty typical. So the low bidder came in about 70% overall of the engineer's estimate, which is great, but there is some concern when you come in that low. Did they miss something? Did they find something in the plans that we were missing that they're going to change order later, right? So those are some concerns that come in when you have a bid that's much lower than everybody else. So we did a review of all the bid items, and it wasn't like there was one bid item or 2 bid items that were really significantly lower than all of the other contractors. It was just consistently they were lower on each bid item. So that helps us understand that they didn't miss something, we didn't miss something necessarily in the plans. It indicates more that they were just more aggressive overall for this project. Maybe they had teams available that they wanted to get started on this project.
Or maybe they live out there and they have to drive on this road and they're like, whoa, we need
Yeah,
this
exactly. Yeah, maybe they live this. So, so what that means is with the low bid price of just over $9 million, there are some others. So that's the construction of the road, right? That's the construction contract that we're asking and recommending for approval to the low bidder of Landmark. But to give you some background of the full picture, our bond amount available was about $10.5 million, and then we are installing water lines as part of the project. And so the water fund can help pay for those water lines that are part of the project. We also have a master development agreement that with Hidden Oaks, that they are responsible for landscaping and improvements behind the curb, such as sidewalk, street lights, and then landscaping the park strip. And then we also are looking and have received some grant money through the state for a tree grant. Salt Lake County Corridor Preservation Fund, we have some coming in for right-of-way purchase. And then South Valley Sewers also committed funds to the project for rebuilding some of their manholes that are part of the project. So if you add up all of our budget sources, we have about $13 million total available for this project. So if we add up the 3 sections of the project that was bid out, we're back to that $9 million. But then there are also items that are not part of construction, such as acquiring right-of-way from those that live along the road, which we're in the process of. We haven't finalized that yet, but we're working on that right now. And then the design contract for the engineers that designed the road, right? And then city furnished items, so we're ordering a lot of these things on our own dime to save money, street lights, street signs, some of the water pipe, we're ordering straight from the supplier rather than the contractor ordering them, and we get a discount. We also can cut down lead times with that and get the products that we want for the city. And then, of course, we talked about this a little bit. Anytime a road, any construction project should have a contingency built in, right? Especially if it's a reconstruct where you have as many existing utilities that are involved in this project. If you are talking about our own utilities, water, storm drain, Rocky Mountain Power, CenturyLink, Comcast, the private irrigation companies that are along this road, there's a lot of potential or risk for something that we didn't originally see in the plans or in the design, that as the contractor gets out there, the scope of the project has to be widened a little bit more. So that's where our 20% is a pretty typical number for a reconstruct road like we're doing with Harriman Highway or Harriman Main Street. And so with that 20% built in, the total cost, all that talking to get to say is that we are good on budget if we award the low bidder the project and move forward. We feel comfortable with the budgets that we have to move forward on that construction contract. And that's really all I've got. I can answer any questions. Otherwise, our recommendation is to move forward with the low bidder.
Oh, I don't even want you to comment. I want to make a motion.
Make a motion. Make a motion.
Motion to award the Harriman Main Street widening construction contract to the low bidder Landmark Excavating for the full length of the project, including base bid, bid alternative 1, and bid alternative 2.
Second.
Motion by Sherry, second by Jared. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Bryce, for your work on this.
Start digging.
That's right.
It's already half dug up with the potholes.
Yeah,
With the potholes, yeah.
Yeah, the potholes have done half the work, yeah.
Oh, that's awful. I was gonna say, that's where the next 200,000 is going, is probably the pothole repair in there.
Yeah, that's money savings to go fix the potholes.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting this evening. Our next city council meeting will be in 2 weeks on January 25th. The next planning commission meeting is next Wednesday, the 18th. Tomorrow night, there is a luau on ice out here, out front here, at the ice ribbon out here. And then the 26th is a Superheroes on Ice night. Hours, depending on reservation time. Any other events we're aware of? Okay. With that being said, I will look for a motion to go back to work meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Sherry.
Second.
Second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And